Welcome in to the 48 Minutes podcast on Believe. I'm Ross Geiger, the former NBA video coordinator, and I'm joined alongside Bruce Bernstein, our four-time Emmy Award winner who spent more than 3 decades at ESPN producing NBA shows, SportsCenter, and soaking up knowledge from the best hoop analysts in the business. Also joining us is the 2-time Emmy Award winner, Michael World B. Freer, who is a senior writer at Stat Factor, specializing in writing advanced statistical NBA reports for various announcers across the league. This is episode number 182, the Buck Williams episode, as Buck won the 1982 Rookie of the Year award while playing for the New Jersey Nets. And speaking of Buck, or shall I say Bucks, we'll be doing their team preview in just a second. With the regular season set to begin on October 21st, we continue our series of 2-a-day shows. They'll be shorter, and we'll release 3 new shows each week leading up to opening night. Each show will feature 1 team from the East and 1 team from the West. Please note, we'll be going in alphabetical order, so no need to look into any of the teams we mention on any given night. So let's get started with my Milwaukee Bucks from the East, and then we'll review the Oklahoma City Thunder out West. So first up, fellas, we've got the Milwaukee Bucks, who finished with a record of 48-34, good for 5th out East last year. But despite finishing the regular season on an 8-game win streak, the Bucks were once again a first-round exit after just 5 games in the Eastern Conference playoffs, losing to the Pacers for a second straight year. But for a team that has limited options due to the salary cap, the Bucks did find a way to make big changes this offseason. Damian Lillard is gone, and Milwaukee was able to snatch Miles Turner away from that Indiana Pacers squad. So, Bruce, given Milwaukee's surprising moves this summer, can they carry some of that surprise into this year's season?
Well, I don't want to antagonize you, my dear friend and co-host here, but
that's okay.
I think this team is still a kind of a mess. I mean, I don't fault John Horst, the general manager, for trying to keep Giannis happy with so many personnel moves, but there has been so much change that I'm concerned that their continuity is going to suffer. I mean, look, Giannis is the rock. I mean, he's at the peak of his powers. He's, for 9 straight seasons, he's been probably, the first or second best player in the NBA. I mean, 2-time MVP. And really, the only player I can even compare him to overall is Hakeem Olajuwon. I think they share many of the same traits, both as players and as men. So there's Giannis, and then there's a whole lot of question marks.
All righty. World B, hopefully you have some more answers than questions.
Well, yeah, I think they have a chance to improve on last year's position, if nothing else, in terms of where I think they're going to end up hosting a first-round series out of the East. Ooh. I think this is going to be a case of addition by subtraction, not a knock on Dame as a player. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer. It just never seemed to get into a good flow with those two on the court. And the numbers say last year when Giannis was on the court without Lillard, the Bucks outscored opponents by about 11 points per 100 possessions. When Damian Lillard was on the court with Giannis, that was less than 5 points per 100 possessions. So I think there's a case to be made that this will flow a little better through Giannis and allow him to be the facilitator of everything again and have the ball run through him, let him distribute. Maybe his assists go up or something like that. I will say this. I don't think they're going to do it with offense this year. I think they're going to get back to if they're going to do anything, it's got to be done through the defensive end, which I think can be done. I think they have people that can do it. Miles Turner, I know he's replacing Brooks Lopez. Those are the number 1 and 2 guys last year in shots defended at the rim. So Miles Turner can handle himself, and his field goal percentage defense at the rim was slightly better than Brooke Lopez's. So you're not losing anything in that regard. And he doesn't have to grab 10 rebounds a night. You got Giannis to take care of that. I think the more I think about this duo together, the more I think it's going to work. It's going to be done on the defensive end. They just don't. Last year, their offensive efficiency when Giannis was off the court was really down. It's like about 108 per 100 possession, which is really off what they would like to be or what you want to be out of a winning basketball team. So I think they have a real shot, and I think Giannis is going to finish first or second an MVP this year. Maybe the last season he gets into that level, but I think this is his moment to shine.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, the keys in his hands this year. There's nobody else to kind of drive that car from Milwaukee and take them where they're looking to go. And obviously, Giannis always has his thoughts on another championship. So he's got lofty expectations. My outlook on this team actually kind of falls in between the both of yours, because on one hand, there's two key juniors returning to the 4-1-4 this year. That is Kevin Porter Jr. and Gary Trent Jr., both of which I think could have tremendous years. This will be Gary Trent's, I believe, his third year with the team. And for Kevin Porter Jr., this will be his first full year. So getting both of them back in the fold was a huge sigh of relief for a team that desperately needs some contributions on both ends. Trent usually up there in steals, league leaders in steals, and Kevin Porter Jr. kind of fills up a box score all across the board there. So with those two, you got Cole Anthony coming over from Orlando via Memphis, I guess we could say. But he kind of enters that scoring mix in the backcourt as well. I think he could have a tremendous season. Huge opportunity for him, for a guy that is kind of stuck on the bench in Orlando. And here he's coming to a team that said, hey, if you can help score the basketball, we'd love you to do that. And I think he is really going to relish that opportunity. And then speaking of opportunities, AJ Green, he really developed over the course of his sophomore season last year. And, much like last season, Milwaukee will certainly give him the green light to shoot it from three. They're going to rely on him to be a reliable shooter from downtown, to kind of stretch that floor for Giannis to take it to the basket where he's most lethal. But look, as much as I like the Miles Turner pickup, as he's the new and improved version of the aging Brook Lopez, the Bucks' chances all boil down to Giannis staying healthy. Giannis is coming off a very impressive and successful summer, leading Greece to a bronze medal in this summer's Eurobaskets. As Giannis called that, coming in third for Greece, the greatest basketball accomplishment of his career. But I think if he's able to follow up his summer performance and carry this Bucks team to another finals appearance, I might have to pen this upcoming season as his second greatest accomplishment, because like you said, Bruce, I think it's going to be a tough battle for Milwaukee despite all the mix-up in the East.
Well, you mentioned AJ Green, and the Bucks are going to try and shoot more threes this season, because they actually led the league in percentage, making 39% of their threes as a team last season. And Giannis finds a lot of guys, those three-point shooters, for good looks. But I really want to see the Bucks punch up their offensive pace and get more opportunities, because while they do shoot well, they don't take enough shots, especially enough threes. So better pace should help them get more threes, especially in transition. And I really do think Cole Anthony, whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench, I could see him doing well in either of those two roles. If he starts, I mean, he's a guy who can, have an occasional 10-point quarter. He'll get super hot and make a bunch of shots. But if he and Bobby Portis, let's say, were the anchors on the second unit, they could have a very nice, second unit with those two guys, running their stuff together. So, there's hope there, but their guards are still such a question mark for me. I mean, I really, Ryan Rollins started a bunch of games down the stretch, and then Doc barely used him in the playoffs. He had some DNPs, a couple games where he played a little bit, some DNPs, but he's only 23 years old. He shot 41% from downtown last year. So you would think he ought to get a chance. And if so, I mean, he should have some room to grow.
Yeah. And you talk about those guards kind of being a question mark offensively. I think what they probably end up doing this year, and it seems that's the way that Doc Rivers has been explaining what he plans to kind of adjust offensively for the Bucks next year. Giannis is going to be a point forward. So those guards offensively essentially turn into wings. So as long as Ryan Rollins and AJ Green, Kuzma, Cole Anthony, Kevin Porter Jr., and Gary Trent Jr. can knock down some open shots, or at least take the ball off the catch and take it off the dribble, get into the paint, and kind of move the ball around once Giannis distributes, I think it will work out just fine. But any slowdown 5-on-5 basketball in the half court with Ryan Rollins or Kevin Porter Jr. kind of operating up front would be a concern for me as well too.
Well, to your point, Ross, this is not a team. They're going to have to hit those shots, because this is not a team that really dominates on the inside. One of the weirdest stats of the season last season was this. They ranked 27th in scoring in the paint, about 44 points a game, despite having the league's leading scorer, Giannis, in the paint. Yep. He averaged about 19.5 a game in the paint, and yet they were still bottom 5 in scoring in the paint. They just don't go in there if it's not Giannis. So, and Miles Turner is not exactly known for his skills around the basket. He's the guy who steps out and hits those shots. So they're going to have to hit the perimeter shots. Everything I said, all the positivity, all the positive outlook I have for them, it really is predicated on them hitting some jumpers, because if they don't, they are going to fall into where Bruce has them slotted, because there's just not a whole lot there. You're not getting those points out of Giannis from the outside, so you better hit those jumpers.
Great point there.
Unless this team does better than I think they're going to be, and I know World B and you, Russ, probably both feel they're going to be a little better than I do. I think they're, I don't see them finishing higher than 6th, and I could see them even in the play-in. But unless this team does better than I expect, this could be the beginning of the end of the Giannis era in Milwaukee. I mean, he said on Monday on Media Day, hey, same thing he said on this podcast 2 years ago. As long as the team is moving forward, he'll be here, blah, blah, blah. But he wants another championship. And I think, he's getting to the point now where he's now 30 and, he's going to still be Giannis for another couple of years. But after that, who knows? So I think he really feels the need to win really soon. And his trade value is sky high. So if they feel like, this combo ain't working, look outside the conference, look to somewhere in the West, get him out of your conference. You only got to play him twice a year and see what might be out there. I mean, to me, I look at OKC and I say they've got 1,000 first-round draft picks and they've got a talented young big in Chet Holmgren. I don't know if they would move him for Giannis with draft picks. Who knows? But if I were Milwaukee looking to try and say, okay, we need to move on, I'd be looking at OKC for sure.
Yeah, well, with Fred VanVleet news out of Houston, they could use a point forward, put him next to Kevin Durant and team him up with Alperen Sengun after the drama of the Eurobasket this year. I don't know. I mean, I hope things work out for Milwaukee. I'd love to see him be a Buck for life. But, yeah, there might be a point in time where they do need to reflect on whether or not it is in the team's best interest to move on and collect some assets before it's too late. Now, next up, we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a team that flat out dominated last season, finishing with the league's best record at 68-14 in the regular season, and then just went on to secure the franchise's first NBA title. The reigning champs made no additions during the free agency, but they did sign their big three of SGA, Chet, and J-Dub to long-term extensions. So, World B, we've talked a lot about it on our show in years past, that the champs always have a target on their backs heading into next season. Now that the OKC Big Three have secured their bags with the extensions, is there a chance they come out of the gates too comfortable this year?
I wouldn't think so. I don't think it would be an issue of them coming out comfortable. I think they're going to get, the old saying, you get everybody's best shot every night. Well, they're entering a level now of excellence where they go into seasons where it's championship or failure. Mm-hmm. Even last year, they did not have that expectation attached to them. As the season went on, it became clear that that was the case. But now you're entering the season, and you're going to enter not just this season, but maybe the next season or the season after that for a while, where it's championship or failure. And they want to be an elite. They want to be on the level of the Warriors dynasty. They want to be on the level of, the Rockets in the 90s, or somebody who wins multiple championships. The Bulls and all those teams. Well, this is now the expectation you have every year for the foreseeable future. It's a different level of expectation. They're young. They should be able to handle it the way they dominated the league last year. They had the 4th highest point per game differential last season in NBA history. And they also possessed one of my favorite stats of last season. They were 18-10 when they trailed by double digits. 8 games over 500 when they trailed by double digits. That's, according to NBA.com, that was the best record of any team in the last 29 seasons that they have the statistics for. So I mean, that's
I
just an
believe it.
incredible number. Of all the numbers you could put out there, they do have a couple of deficiencies, but like I said, 99% of their playoff minutes from last season are on the roster now. So they're not going anywhere. They don't plan on going anywhere. And Bruce mentioned, down the road making trades for Giannis or somebody else. Boy, if I'm Oklahoma City, I'm not messing with a thing. You can call, but I don't have to answer. I like who I have.
Bruce?
Well, these guys won 68 regular season games. They bring back every key player, and an incredible 99% of their playoff minutes return. Yeah. Only 2 players on their team are older than 30. Both are just 31, and neither is a starter. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP, 27. Chet Holmgren, 23. Jalen Williams, 24. Isaiah Hartenstein, 27. Lou Dort, 26. You never know what's going to happen with injuries, but this looks like a team that really has the best chance to repeat since, Golden State did it back in, 2017 and 2018. And that stat that World B just explained about 18-10 when they were trailing by double digits, that just shows they play hard for 48. No lead is ever safe against them. And they're just relentless. I mean, I said last year a couple times when watching those teams play defense, it actually looked like it was a hockey team on the power play. It looked like they had 6 guys out there guarding 5 on the other team. That's how much they moved around. And, they bring in the Tasmanian devil, Alex Caruso off the bench. I mean, they just have, they have everything. They have everything. So, yes, it ain't broke. Don't fix it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. And glad you brought up kind of the pace they play at, Bruce, and how it seems like there's 6 guys out there on the floor. And a lot of that credit, I think, goes to their bench players. And as much as we and a lot of other media people have been focused on the big 3 that they have there, let's not forget about Aaron Wiggins' breakout season last season. Cason Wallace put together a great sophomore year defensively for this group. Isaiah Joe had his moments where, he'd hit 6 to 8 threes in a game and be the difference maker. They've got a lot of guys off that bench that are vying for minutes. And after watching their leaders just get paid, they want to get paid someday too. And they know all eyes are on this team. They're going to be featured on a ton of national TV games. They are the defending champs. Every game's going to be a sellout. These bench guys want to play. And if they're given the opportunity to do so, they're going to take full advantage of it. That's just kind of the culture that Mark Daigneault's instilled within this rotation, within this group. And I think they're going to still play with a chip on their shoulder because of that. So I had to ask the question, do they come in a little too loose just because of the financial relief they all had and having gotten that first ring? But I don't have any concerns with these guys. I think they have the personalities to really be up for the challenge of getting everyone's best next year.
And as much as we talked about, offensively, their defense was the best in the NBA, okay? Yeah. They led the league in opponents' field goal percentage, opponents' three-point field goal percentage, and forced turnovers. I mean, what else do you want? Okay, they even improved their rebounding a lot. I mean, this team has everything. And last year, they were the youngest team in the NBA. They may still be the youngest team in the NBA, although Detroit and Portland are kind of there. Depends on how the final rosters work out. But at the very least, they won't be any older than the 3rd youngest team in the NBA. So, yeah, I mean, OKC is A-OK.
Yep.
And by the way, we talked about, you mentioned how their defense was number 1. It was. They were the only team in the league, by the way, top 4 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. So they had it all. They did everything. They were the best at deflecting the ball. They were the best at stealing the ball and turning that into points off transition or whatever. That was their key. They were really solid in that department, and obviously with their lineup, they're not going to go. That's going to go away anytime soon. Let's keep in mind, though. I talked about on other shows. This is not my team to make it out of the West. It's not necessarily a knock on them, but I just I'm on the Nuggets bandwagon for the time being. But it's not a slight on Oklahoma City at all. But they were pushed to 7 games in the playoffs twice. Once in the finals and once by the Nuggets. So the teams have figured out there is a blueprint somewhere in there. Somewhere in that film room, there is a blueprint on how you can be successful against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, can you do it for for 4 games out of 7, well, that's another story. But there's something's out there that teams are able to be successful with.
No doubt. Great point there to send us home here. Now on our next 48 minutes to a day, we'll examine World B's New York Knicks and the Phoenix Suns. We hope you'll join us as we'll still keep you up to date, but go shorter than 48 as we hit every team. Take care, everyone.